my beloved child. Pause within this very breath, for I am doing something your eyes have not yet seen, but your soul has already felt. The courts of heaven are parting their curtains. The invisible veil that has long covered the truth is being drawn aside, and the light of my righteousness is shining directly upon the record the enemy has used to accuse you. You think you are merely walking through a season of weariness, but in reality you are standing in a heavenly moment, a moment when I, the eternal, just one, rise to defend you, not after you prove your innocence, but before you can utter a single word. I do not let you fight for yourself, because some battles do not belong to you, they belong to me. And today, I speak with the full authority of heaven to declare once and for all every slander, every accusation, every false label, every internal verdict you have carried no longer has the right to bind you. Hear this with the deepest part of your being: the case against you has been closed in the courts of heaven. The accusations that once made you bow your head can no longer stand before my face. The voices that once blurred your vision with shame no longer have ground to speak. Every harsh opinion, every distorted interpretation, every unfair judgment placed upon you by others, and even the self-condemnation you have carried for years is falling like dust on stone beneath my decree. I do not review the old file, I erase it. I do not weigh guilt against innocence. I cleanse every mark you believed was permanent. You thought I only forgave you. But today, I am doing something greater. I am vindicating you. My child, I have seen the moments when you stood before the mirror of life and whispered, "I wonder what you think of me. I wonder if you're disappointed. I wonder if you're still on my side." And I answer with a voice unmistakable, I was on your side before you even knew there was a battle. I defended you before you realized accusations were rising. I loved you long before you knew you needed protection. Never once have I stood in neutrality. I did not wait to see whether you would win or lose before choosing where I stand. I am the God who defends first, rescues first, and pulls you out even before you cry for help. Heaven's court does not wait for your defense. Heaven moves by the truth I see in you. You see fragments of events, but I see the whole. You hear the words spoken, but I hear the motives behind them. You see the surface, but I see the heart. You think you were misunderstood. I saw you were wounded. You think you were judged. I saw you were pressed beneath burdens that were never yours. You think you had to be silent to survive. I am tearing that silence apart to show you that I never left my place as your advocate. Heaven does not move by temporary feelings. It moves by eternal truth. And the truth I declare today is this: you are innocent in my eyes. Take this as a sword of righteousness cutting through every accusation that has clung to your mind. The heaviness on your shoulders did not come from me. It came from expectations you were never meant to carry, from misinterpretations you never deserved, from sharp words that pierced deeper than they should have, and from judgments you once believed were true. But I have come to lift that yoke from your shoulders. You were not created to carry burdens that were not yours. You were not designed to wear shame that came from someone else's brokenness. You were not made to bear responsibility for things beyond your control. When I remove a yoke from you, no one has authority to place it back. When I free you from a verdict, no accusation has the right to reattach itself. I see the moments when you wondered why people viewed you incorrectly, why some doubted you, misunderstood you, magnified your flaws and overlooked your faithfulness, why you remained silent to preserve peace, yet were still dismissed. I saw every tear you held back so others wouldn't be burdened. I saw every contraction of your heart whenever you were treated unfairly. I saw every wound you hid until it felt like part of who you were. But I speak this truth to you now. Nothing people think about you stands higher than what I know about you. I do not look at you through information. I look at you through truth. I do not evaluate you through temporary actions. I see the core I designed within you. I do not define you through human voices. I define you through the covenant between me and you, a covenant no accusation can break. You believed that if you tried hard enough, people would eventually understand you. But I tell you, you do not need to strive to be understood. You need only stand in the truth I place upon you. And that truth will speak for you. My child, I know there were days when your soul felt unable to breathe, when every thought was heavy. When you went to bed tangled inside and woke up already tired. When you held yourself together externally while feeling as if you were balancing on a thin wire internally. You tried not to collapse, not to tremble, not to fall. But I did not create you to survive by sheer force. I created you to lean on me, and today I come as the righteous one to place my hand upon your shoulder and lift off the burdens you have carried far too long. Those burdens are not yours. That guilt is not yours. That sentence is not yours. The truth about you does not come from their words, it comes from my decree. Hear this as thunder tearing through the spiritual sky. Every accusation that clung to you dissolves when I declare forgiveness. Every injustice that pressed upon your chest collapses when I pronounce release. Every dark record the enemy preserved to use against you becomes void when I say it is closed. And every burden you have carried for years falls from you like weightless ash when I command it to. You walk in freedom not because you defended yourself well, but because I defended you completely. You enter peace not because circumstances are calm, but because I am your refuge. And you are restored not because the world found you worthy, but because my love for you is unchanging, unyielding, undefeatable, and untouched by every whisper of accusation ever spoken against your name. Beloved, now I need to take you deeper into what is unfolding behind the veil that the natural eye cannot see. Because what you have been walking through is not merely fractured emotion or careless words that wounded you. A spiritual filtration has been opened around your life, and the accuser has seized every opportunity to craft distorted images of you not only before others but within your own mind. He has no authority to touch you, for you belong to me, but he has attempted to twist your perception so you would condemn yourself. He whispered thoughts you assumed were your own thoughts, saying you are not good enough, that you deserve suspicion, that you must carry responsibility for everything that happened, that if only you were stronger or better, you would not have been treated that way. None of those arrows came from me, and today I expose them so you may know with certainty you are not wrong. You are not deserving of disgrace, and you do not have to bear punishment for things that never belonged to you. I saw your soul trying to piece together explanations, trying to connect every detail to understand why you were so easily misjudged. I saw the nights when you wondered whether there was something inherently flawed in you that made others misunderstand you. You sat with heavy thoughts, replaying words, searching for the fault within yourself to justify things that should never have been placed on your shoulders. You took responsibility for behaviors you could not control, for reactions that were not yours, for assumptions others carried long before they ever met you. You have been carrying a burden far too heavy, and that burden convinced you that you were somehow guilty. But listen to me, a child who strives to walk upright never deserves to be pressed under wrongful judgment, and a heart that longs to do good never deserves to be accused of deceit. I saw your innocence where others saw none. I saw your pure intentions where they only saw actions. I saw your tears where they only noticed your silence. And I rise to defend what no one else stepped forward to protect. Do you remember the times you chose silence so as not to intensify the conflict? Yet that silence was twisted into an admission. You thought you were being wise in keeping peace, but they used your peace as proof of guilt you never carried. I witnessed that moment, and I kept the truth in my hands even when you were treated as the one at fault. I never leave the record of truth in the hands of those whose vision is limited. I keep the record within my authority. And that is why today I am pulling you out of the pit of accusation you have stood in for far too long, not because you were too weak to walk out, but because some spiritual chains can only be broken by my decree. I need you to understand that the accusations aimed at your life were never truly aimed at you. They were aimed at the identity I placed within you. Darkness is not threatened by your mistakes. Darkness is threatened by your awakening. It fears the moment you realize you are loved. It fears the moment you realize you are chosen. It fears the moment you stand in the authority of your heavenly citizenship. It fears the moment you take your rightful position and every accusation loses its grip. That is why it tried to make you feel as though you were the source of every problem. It does not need to prove your guilt. It only needs to make you doubt yourself. A doubting heart is easy to imprison, but a heart standing in the truth I speak cannot be moved. My child, I have not come to scold you for believing those lies. I have come to wipe them off you like dust from a mirror, so you can see yourself clearly again in my light. You are not as wrong as you thought. You are not as weak as you believed. You are not as unworthy as the accusing voice tried to persuade you. You are not hard to love, no matter what others made you feel. You are not complicated as rumors suggested. You are not broken, not abandoned, not reduced in value. None of those words were true. They were only echoes from a place that does not belong to you. Remember this: no verdict can stand when my love covers you. My love is not merely emotion, it is legal authority in the realm of the spirit. Once I declare you innocent, that innocence becomes your shield. Once I cleanse the record, it cannot be reopened by human hands. Once I close the case, no power, no matter how great, can overturn it. And once I stand in your place in the courts of heaven, you never again need to tremble when someone brings up what happened. I have closed it. No one has the authority to reopen what I have sealed. There is a reason I speak these things clearly and firmly. I need you to step out of the spiritual territory where you keep revisiting old situations with invisible anxiety. I do not want you living in a half-peace, half-fear state, half-believing, half-trembling. I do not want you asking, am I truly forgiven, or are you truly on my side? I am ending the ambiguity. When I end something, truth becomes final, like a red seal pressed onto a document, certain, permanent, unchangeable. You do not need to fear your past. You do not need to fear what people have said. You do not need to fear being dragged back into darkness. I stand at the door of your future, and I declare that no accusation is permitted to follow you into the next season. You will not step into what is ahead with a bowed head. You will not step with trembling. You will not step with a chaotic mind. You will step like one acquitted in the holy courts of heaven, head lifted, heart steady, spirit light as one who has just been freed from the heaviest chains of their life. You are the one I choose. You are the one I defend. You are the one I hold. And you are the one I restore. Now that the case is closed and the file of accusation has been erased in the justice of my light, I want to rebuild a foundation inside you, one that the weariness of battle made you forget even though it never left you. Vindication does not occur only in the spiritual courts. It must also occur within your heart. There are places in you still haunted by memories of accusation, places that fear to believe you are truly free. There are parts of you that still think you must take responsibility for every pain around you. There are layers in you still convinced that if you were only kinder, quieter, or better, others would not have treated you as they did. But I come to touch the deepest parts of your soul worn thin by unspoken worry. I want you to breathe again deeply so your body knows the burden has been lifted from your shoulders, not temporarily, but permanently. My child, I see the way you shrink back in situations that seem small to others, simply because your past taught you that any action or word could be misunderstood. I see the way your heart tightens when someone asks a slightly sharp question, because your mind instantly prepares for blame. I see how you try to please everyone just to avoid being attacked or misjudged. But my child, that is not the real you. That is the version of you shaped by fear. That is the reaction of a wounded soul, not the nature I placed within you. The real you does not tremble like that. The real you is not that small. The real you is not meant to live folded in on yourself. The real you, in my eyes, is someone created to stand tall, walk steadily, breathe deeply, live peacefully, love safely, and be loved wholly. You have walked through a season where everything in you was tested, and those siftings made you feel weaker. But in truth, you are being reshaped. The trembling is not proof that you are losing. It is proof that you are transitioning. What trembles will be steadied. What feels broken will be healed. And the empty places will be filled with my presence. I do not want you only to know you are vindicated. I want you to live as one who has been vindicated. That means you no longer have to look at everything with suspicion, no longer scan every word, wondering if you will be misunderstood. No longer try to predict how others will react as a way to protect yourself. I want you to live with the posture of one who owes no debt to darkness, one who does not need fear as a shield, one who does not need control to survive. You are allowed to rest. You are allowed to lift your head. You are allowed to walk without bracing yourself. You are allowed to believe the future is safe. I want to gently place my hand on the memories you never told anyone. The moments when someone said something small but it cut deeply. The days you were dismissed because they did not understand you. The times you carried burdens for others only to be blamed by the very people you helped. The situations where you tried to explain yourself but no one listened. The moments you apologized when you were not wrong just to keep peace. All of those things carved a distorted image of yourself inside your heart, but I will not let you carry that image into your new day. I will not let you move forward believing you are someone meant to live under weight. I am placing alignment where you thought you were crooked. I am placing light where you thought you were dark. I am placing truth where you thought you were broken. And the truth is this: you are not broken. You were wounded, and wounds are what I heal. My child, I am restoring your true name, not the name people gave you, but the one I spoke, a name that is not altered by the way others see you, a name that does not fade when you grow tired, a name that does not shift when you are misunderstood. I place that name on you by my own life, and I am whispering it again into your soul like water soaking dry ground. You are loved, chosen, held, restored, and anchored in peace. You have spent too long living as though you owed the world an apology, but today I want you to know you owe yourself the chance to stand up straight again. I know there were moments when you felt abandoned in the dark room of fear, but hear me, I am always the open door. You were never in that room alone. I was there, standing between you and the night, keeping the night from swallowing you. I kept life inside you when you thought you had reached your limit. I kept breath inside you when you felt you had nothing left. There was not a single day I left you. There was not a single night I made you face the shadows alone. My truth comes not only to comfort you, but to stand as a weapon against every word the accuser planted in your heart. And now, I want you to step into the peace you have longed for, but never dared to believe you could enter. Peace does not come because everyone understands you. Peace does not come because no one ever misjudges you again. Peace does not come because everything becomes perfect. Peace comes from one thing: I am here. My presence is the wall around you. My kindness is the warmth over you. My authority is your refuge. You can breathe deeply again. You can rest again. You can live again as someone who knows they have a home, and that home is in me. From this moment on, I will teach you to walk as one who is truly vindicated, walking lightly, walking steadily, walking without trembling, walking without bowing your head, walking without fearing the future, walking without hiding. You no longer stand outside looking in. You stand in the very center of where I have called you. You belong to the light. You belong to truth. You belong to the everlasting love that shaped you. And I am forming you again, not just to move forward, but to live deeply, live rightly, live freely, and live fully in the identity I have given you. My child, let me bring you into the deeper place of restoration, where the verdict of vindication does not merely echo from heaven but sinks into every beat of your heart. There are truths you have heard with your ears but never felt in your spirit, because your wounds were once too thick for comfort to penetrate. But now that I have placed my righteous decree over your life, I want your heart to open so healing can enter, not a temporary emotional relief, but healing like underground water finding every dry place until it is soaked through. I know you grew used to being strong while hurting, standing tall while tired, smiling while heavy. I know you became accustomed to carrying responsibility for things that were never yours. And now I am gently placing my hand on your chest to tell you that you no longer need to do that. You do not need to brace yourself. You do not need to hold your breath. You do not need to pretend to be okay. You are allowed to release it in me. Do you remember the nights you wanted to cry but didn't dare? I saw those tears before they fell. Do you remember the moments when you smiled for others but felt empty as soon as you turned away? As if someone had taken something vital from inside you, I was standing right behind you in that moment. There were times when you thought I was silent, but I was nearer than your breath, holding your very life in my hands. You could not recognize me because your mind was exhausted, but your spirit knew something was holding you together when you felt you were falling apart. You did not survive those days by yourself. I carried you through them. I want you to know that the deepest fears within you, the fear of being abandoned, the fear of being rejected, the fear of being misunderstood, the fear of being left behind again, are not things I dismiss. I have held them with my own kindness. You assumed I only cared about the strong parts of you, the beautiful parts, the good parts, but in truth, I am closest to your weak, tangled, tired, and frightened parts more than ever. You see those parts as burdens, but I see them as open doors through which I can enter the deepest places of your life. I do not avoid your weakness. I step right into it. I do not resent your trembling. I hold it with my steady hand. I do not demand perfection. I heal you so you may know that you were loved long before you accomplished anything. My child, I want you to listen to my breath moving through the places you have kept hidden for years. You believed that if no one knew, the wound would eventually heal itself. But time does not heal wounds, only I do. You thought that if you were stronger, the old pain would never be touched again. But you do not need strength to avoid pain. You need me to be healed. I do not come so you can hide more. I come so you can open more. Not open everything at once, but open little by little, so you are never overwhelmed. I know your capacity, and I heal at your pace, not someone else's. What matters is not speed. What matters is truth. Remember the season when you were most deeply misunderstood, when you almost believed you were the person others claimed you were. I stood there with you, grieving with you, because nothing wounds me more than watching you accept something untrue about yourself. When you lowered your head and carried weights that were never yours to carry, I longed to run to you, hold you, and whisper, "It wasn't your fault." But in that chaos you could not hear me. So I stood beside you, waiting for the moment your heart grew quiet enough to feel my arms. And now I am doing what you could not perceive then. I am restoring the true image of who you are, the image I wove into being long before the world ever touched you. My child, I know there are parts of you that feel stained by wrong words, false accusations, old memories, and lingering shadows. But I declare that you are not those things. You are not the product of accusations. You are not the reflection of fear's distortions. You are not the sum of careless voices that diminished you. You are not the labels others stuck on you. You are not the misunderstandings that dragged on for months. You are not the version of yourself you imagined when you were too exhausted to think clearly. You are who I ordained from the beginning, one who cannot be defined by slander. One whose worth cannot be lowered by someone's warped perception. One who cannot be lost because of someone else's behavior. I want to rebuild this foundation inside you slowly but deeply. You are innocent. Not because you are flawless, but because I have stood in your place. You are forgiven. Not because you earned it, but because I want you free. You are protected, not because you are strong, but because you belong to me. You can stand again in peace, not because circumstances changed, but because I am in the midst of them. You can be restored, not because of your effort, but because I am the restorer. My child, let me hold the part of you you assumed no one would ever want to touch. I do not come to keep a distance from your past. I come to step into it and cleanse it. I do not come to place another moral burden for you to strive toward. I come to take off the burdens you were never meant to carry. I do not only heal the wounds everyone sees. I heal the wounds you yourself do not have words for. I do not touch only the places you ache. I touch the places you've gone numb. The places you've shut down. The places you sealed off for survival. Every one of those places needs my breath, and I am breathing into them, my child. In this journey, I want you to know you have never walked alone. You look at the last 3 months and see a long string of exhausting days. I see 3 months in which I carried you in my arms. You see disappointment as a sign of my silence. I see it as my call to draw you deeper. You see loneliness as punishment. I see it as the clearing I created so I could speak without interruption. You see misunderstanding as a curse. I see it as the key that unlocked today's vindication. Nothing you have lived through is meaningless. No tear was wasted. No trembling went unseen. No sigh escaped my notice. And now, as I lead you out of the thick cloud of condemnation, I want you to walk lighter, not lighter because you forget, but lighter because you now know the truth. You have lived too long as someone who must defend themselves, but in my kingdom, you are the one who is defended. You have lived as someone who must control everything, but I want you to live as someone who is held. You have lived as someone who stands judged, but I want you to live as someone already vindicated. You have lived as someone who tries to prove their worth, but I want you to live as someone whose worth has already been established by me forever. My child, now that you have allowed me into the tight, hidden corners of your soul, I want to bring you into another space, a space where you are not only healed but reshaped. For years you have lived as someone who needed permission to exist, as if your worth depended on how others perceived you. You drew inward whenever someone misunderstood you, as if their misunderstanding was evidence of something wrong within you. But I want you to look directly at the truth that you were never created to live according to human approval. You were created to stand in the light I placed in you, a light that does not go out just because someone turns away. When you understand this, you will no longer tremble when someone's attitude shifts, and you will stop contorting yourself to please anyone. I do not need you to become a version that fits others' expectations. I want you to become the true version I formed, strong yet tender, deep yet radiant, resilient yet not hardened. My child, look again at the things you once labeled as failures, the days you cried because you believed you were not enough, the moments you stayed silent because you did not want to trouble anyone, the times you chose to step back just to keep the peace. You thought those things were signs of weakness, but I look at them and see humility, softness of heart, and a deep longing for peace. Only hearts that are truly tender can be hurt as deeply as you once were. And that tenderness, though it made you vulnerable, is the very place where I have placed my presence most strongly upon your life. Hardened hearts cannot learn dependence. Souls that never weep cannot learn reliance. But you, through your fragility, opened a door that allowed me to nourish your spirit in ways the strong of this world will never taste. I want you to feel this truth deep within you. You do not have to run from your past to prove you have changed. I have severed the bond between your past and your identity. What you have done does not define you. What you have experienced does not define you. What others have said about you certainly does not define you. I alone have the authority to declare what belongs to you. And I have chosen to speak life, truth, and peace over you. Let that truth become the breath you inhale every morning. Let that peace become the cloak you wear as you step out into the world. Let that love become your anchor when you feel yourself trembling. Nothing you do in the future can cause me to withdraw these things. My love is not based on performance. My love is rooted in covenant. My child, I know there are moments when you feel as if you are standing between two realms, the old one filled with shadows, and the new one overflowing with promise. You fear being pulled back. You worry that one mistake will drag you into the same darkness of accusation as before. But I want you to know that the old season has no authority to pull you back. It has been sealed by my decree. It has been locked by heavenly authority. It has been cut off from your soul by my own blood. You no longer live under the fear of being dragged backward. You live under the truth that you have crossed over. And crossing over does not mean you must be strong. It means I am behind you, beside you, and before you. Remember this, you are no longer in the place of judgment. You are in the place of vindication. You are no longer fighting battles to prove yourself. You are walking under a covering that speaks for you. You are no longer seen as someone stained. You are viewed with the eyes of one who has been made clean. I want you to live with the awareness that you are walking on the ground of the free, not the ground of someone temporarily pardoned. Freedom in me is not fragile. It is not breakable. It does not depend on good days or bad days. It is established by the decree of the one who does not change. Now I want to begin something new in your mind. I want to teach you to heal by the truth of who you truly are. When an accusing voice rises within you, let the truth I speak rise louder. When an old memory tries to pull you back into shame, let my light erase that image. When fear grips your heart, let my peace rise like a flood from within. What you need is not to fight. What you need is to stand in truth. Truth will do the rest. You will feel your mind grow lighter, not because every circumstance suddenly improves, but because you are now living in a new spiritual climate where no accusation can survive. My child, I also want to touch the part of you that you believed was beyond healing, the part you once called the dead place. There are places you thought were hardened forever, but they were only deeply asleep. I am calling them to life. There are areas you thought you had lost completely: your confidence, your peace, your clarity, your sense of worth, but I am the one who resurrects what has died. I do not restore by returning things to their old shape. I restore by making them new. A cracked vessel, when restored by my hands, shines brighter, grows stronger, and becomes more beautiful than before. And you are the vessel I am reshaping with my own breath of life. May the word of the Lord remind you each day to live in His faith and His love. Make sure to follow and turn on notifications so you never miss the sacred and meaningful messages God longs to speak to you. May God bless you. Amen.